everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my June book haul. So, June is my birthday month, so I have and then just through a few other things that were going on, I acquired quite a few books as well as acquiring books for my birthday, so I have quite a big book haul to get through for you guys. But as always, we will start off with the library books that I picked up in the month of June, which I actually only picked up 4, which I'm really happy with because my library books is getting a bit out of hand again, so happy to have had a more sedate month in terms of the library books. So the first one that I picked up was The Prisoner of Heaven by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is the 3rd book in the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series. This is the 3rd book. The 2nd book was more of a prequel to the 1st book, whereas this one I believe is more of a direct sequel to The Shadow of the Wind, which is the 1st book in the series. So I'm excited to get to this. I really enjoy Carlos Ruiz Zafón's writing, so hopefully I'll really enjoy this one. I then also picked up The Black Box by Michael Connolly. This is the next book in the Harry Bosch series that I need to read. This one is is this large print? No, it's quite chunky. So really enjoy the Harry Bosch series, so excited to get to that one. I then picked up my next classic that I'm planning to pick up after I've read Lady Susan recently by Jane Austen, so I moved on to a new classic. So I picked up The House on the Strand by Daphne du Maurier. You guys know that Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier is one of my favorite books of all time. I've read quite a few Daphne du Maurier. Now, this one just happened, I was just browsing the classic section and saw this one on the shelf, and so picked it up. I'm not really sure exactly what this is about. When Dick Young's friend offers him an escape from his troubles in the form of a new drug, Dick finds himself transported to 14th century Cornwall. Oh, okay, so this sounds quite different from some of her other stuff, but I've enjoyed most of Daphne du Maurier's books, so excited to pick up this one and see whether I enjoyed that one. And then the final library book that I picked up in the month of June is Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks. So this is one of the books that I need to read to complete one of my goals for this year, as a book that I had added, I think it's from my physical to read list. So this is something that I added as like to read a really long time ago. I haven't read any Nicholas Sparks since high school. I have read The Notebook, I've read A Walk to Remember, I've read maybe 1 or 2 others. I've never read Safe Haven, obviously, but I have seen the movie. This is the movie cover. Julianne Hough and, oh, what is his name? Josh Duhamel. That was really frustrating me. Josh Duhamel and Julianne Hough. I quite enjoyed the movie. So Nicholas Sparks, from what I understand, is kind of a trash human. So there's that, but I need to read this to complete one of my goals. This is quite chunky. His books are always, like, I feel like longer than they need to be, but I've got it, and hopefully I end up enjoying that one. All right, guys, let's just get into all of these physical books that I have. I have so many to get through, so I'm going to try to get through these fairly quickly. So first off, I have The Mother's Promise by Sally Hepworth. This is one that I picked up from my library's like secondhand shelves where you can buy books for $1. I picked this up because I recognized Sally Hepworth's name because she wrote a book recently, The Mother-in-Law, which was quite a popular thriller, and so I recognized the name. I'm not sure if this is a thriller or more of a chick lit book, but I literally just recognized the author's name, and I was weak that day, and so I bought it. I then also picked up The Girl in the Red Coat by Kate Hamer. This is another one that I picked up from my library's $1 shelves. And I recognized the name of this, of the author, and the name, like, I recognized the title and the author, and was like, oh, I think I've heard about this book. But then when I picked it up and read the synopsis, I was like, this does not sound familiar to me at all. It says, Carmel Wakeford becomes separated from her mother at a local children's festival and is found by a man who claims to be her estranged grandfather. He tells her that her mother has had an accident and that she is to live with him for now. As days become weeks with her new family, Carmel realizes that this man believes she has a special gift, that she is potentially a savior. While her mother desperately tries to find her, Carmel is sent on an extraordinary journey, one that will make her question who she is and who she might become. So that sounds very interesting. I'm not sure if this is going to have supernatural type elements or if it's like a cult type thing or what's going on, but it sounds very intriguing. And so I was very intrigued by that plot, so I bought that one. And then the final one that I picked up on that trip to the library from the secondhand shelves is The Boy at the Keyhole by Stephen Giles. This is one that I've actually read. And so I read this a month or two ago, really enjoyed it. It's a historical, quite gothic novel about a boy whose mother has recently gone away, or he's told that she's gone away, and he is staying under the supervision of the housekeeper when he starts to suspect that his mother hasn't actually gone and that maybe the housekeeper has done something to his mother, and it's all about that. So I picked this up because I've read this and I quite liked it, and this is a hard copy in really like good condition, and I thought, I haven't tried yet, but I thought I would be able to cut away like the plastic covering and then I would have a nice hard copy edition of a book that I've liked. And I figured if it doesn't work out like that, it was only $1, it doesn't matter. So that's one that I grabbed. I then have one of the books from a monthly order. They kind of came in all sporadic, the books from this particular order, but the first one that arrived was Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. This is the novella collection that follows the Lunar Chronicles. I own the entire Lunar Chronicles series, and so I wanted to own this as well. So I grabbed it. Now we have the point in time in June when I went on my trip to Sydney for my friend Tina's wedding and to visit my friend Emma. And due to my accidental Dimmicks purchases the month prior, check out my Mabel haul if you don't know what I'm talking about, I had almost $5 in points, and then I was given a bonus $5. You get a bonus $5 at Dimmicks in points that you can spend over that month of your birthday. And so I had about $10 in points. So we went into the big Dimmicks in Sydney and I purchased 2 books using my points. I mean, I spent money on top of the points, but to make the books a bit cheaper. And so the first one that I purchased was Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. Now, I have wanted to purchase this book for a really long time. I've had it on my radar well before the movie even came out. However, then the movie did come out, the Netflix movie, and all you could find anywhere was the movie tie-in edition. I'll put a picture just here of the movie tie-in edition cover. I hate it. I think that it's really ugly. I really don't like the movie cover. And so I didn't want to purchase it because I really didn't want that cover and I couldn't find this edition anywhere. And so when I was in Dimmicks in Sydney and I saw this edition and it was actually reasonably priced, like $18, which is kind of expensive, but with the points, I mean, $18 is reasonable for Dimmicks. And then with my points, I was like, yes, I can finally buy this, which I've been wanting for ages. And then so because I grabbed that, I figured that I should also purchase Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. So I guess I should mention, in case you don't know, this is about a fat character whose mother is like a beauty queen pageant runner, and so she ends up entering the pageant that her mother is like historically famous for having won, is very involved in, but she's a fat character, and it's all about very body positive, apparently. So really looking forward to reading this. And then Ramona Blue is about a girl who I believe has identified as a lesbian. However, she then I think starts to have feelings for a boy. So then starts to question her sexuality. That's all I really know about it, but that sounds very intriguing to me. I'm very interested in that theme of labels and how even the labels that you give for yourself and how your own identity is always kind of a journey. I mean, you can always kind of discover more things about yourself. I think that's very interesting, and so I grabbed that one as well. I then have 2 books that my friend Emma is lending to me. The first of those is The Raging Quiet by Cheryl Jordan. This cover. So this is a book that I marked as to read a while ago on Emma's recommendation because she read this book in like high school, I think, and really, really loved it, and so wanted me to read it. She hasn't read it in years. It's a historical YA about 2 girls who are outsiders. No, a girl and a boy who are like the outsiders, and then I think their relationship or friendship or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm excited to read it and see if I enjoy it because, like I said, it was one of Emma's like high school favorites. So she had a copy, and so she lent it to me when I was there. And then she also had a copy of 31 Dream Street by Lisa Jewell, and I've read quite a few Lisa Jewell books now. Lisa Jewell writes primarily thrillers these days, but I believe this one is more of a like women's fiction, contemporary type of novel. I think it's about a group of people who all live in a house together, presumably at 31 Dream Street, but I don't really know too much about it apart from that. But I'm interested in reading Lisa Jewell's books because I quite enjoy her writing, so I thought that I'd give that one a go. Now we have another book that turned up from the monthly order. I said they all came very sporadically in June. So the next one that I have is A Spark of Light by Jodi Picoult. This is Jodi Picoult's most recent release. If you don't know, I am a big fan of Jodi Picoult. I've read all of her books except for this one, and this one is about a gunman who takes people hostage at a women's health clinic where they undertake abortions. So as with all of Jodi Picoult's books, it's going to have quite a lot of commentary on a lot of kind of current events issues. So excited to get to this. We then have a book that I won on a giveaway on Twitter. I was so excited. I never win anything. And so it was a giveaway where you could choose a book of your choice from Book Depository. And so the book that I chose was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm sure you all know what this is about. This book has been all over BookTube. Everyone and their mum has read it. I own every Taylor Jenkins Reid book now. I've mentioned before that I feel like an OG fan of Taylor Jenkins Reid, despite the fact that I've never actually read anything by her, because I have been interested in her since before this book ever came out. And so I had bought all of her books that I want to read kind of in publication order, and I ended up buying Daisy Jones and the Six in store one day. And so this was the only one that I didn't own, but now I have it. And so very excited to have my hands on this. So there's that. Now we have another random collection of books that, so my sister, I think I have mentioned, I've mentioned it in the vlogs. My sister and her family are moving to Northern Queensland, so they're moving away, and she sent me a picture of her bookshelves, and she was like getting rid of a whole bunch of like old books that she had that she didn't want anymore, and she just said, is there anything on here that you would want? And so I picked up a couple of things from her. So the first thing that I have is this very old, very battered copy of a book called 3 Books of Blood. The books are by, where's the author's name? MC Sumner. The reason I grabbed this from her is because even though the plots of this do not sound familiar to me at all, I'm pretty sure that I would have read this from my sister's shelves. A lot of the reading that I did in my kind of like tween years, like kind of from like 11 to 14, was books that I took from my sister's bookshelf. And I read a lot of like horror books off my sister's bookshelf. And so this is, I'm pretty sure, one of them, and so I just, for like nostalgia reasons, thought this would be. So this is a bind up of 3 books, I should mention. It's made up of The Principal, The Hunger, and The Coach. I'm not sure. I, in my mind, thought these were vampire books, but that could be wrong. Like the literally the one line it says about the first book, The Principal, is, "You'll die if you get detention." So yeah, I just thought this would be really fun to read and just get like really nostalgic, really fun, rompy, old school teen horror vibes. So I picked up that one from her. The other one that I grabbed from her shelves is Skeleton Crew by Stephen King. I think, is this short stories or is this a novel? It's short stories. It's got quite a lot of short stories, and one of the ones in here is actually The Mist, which I don't think I've ever read the short story for, but I've seen the movie of The Mist, and the ending of The Mist is one of my favorite horror movie endings ever. And so I have read a couple of Stephen King's short story collections, and I usually really enjoy his short story collections, but I don't think I've read this one, so I thought I would grab that. And then the last book that I took from her shelves, I was excited to see. It's another bind-up collection. This one is a bind-up of books by Richard Lehman. This one's got The Cellar, The Beast House, and The Midnight Tour. I don't know anything about them except that they're like horror thriller books, and I have been interested in Richard Lehman. He's kind of a very famous horror author, and I was interested in him a while ago, and I picked up secondhand one day another bind-up collection that I think it's got only 2 books in it that looks like it's a matching edition to this, except that it's blue, not red. And so when I saw my sister had this, I was like, oh, I'll take that, because then I have more of his books. So there's that. Then we come to another book that I grabbed randomly one day off my library's secondhand shelves, and that is this beast, The Marvels by Brian Selznick. So this is huge. It's got the gold sprayed edges. It is an old like library copy, but I thought for $1 that it's a really nice edition. I may be able to cut the plastic out and have it be in pretty good condition. I'm not sure, although the pages are like pretty battered. But I figured for $1 I can read it, and then if I love it, I can always purchase myself my own copy if it's something that I really enjoy. I don't actually know what this is about. I think it might be like a family epic, but the thing I know about Brian Selznick's books and why they're so big is that they're told kind of half in artwork and then half in pictures. Like the first half of the book is purely like drawings, And then like about halfway through the book, like it just keeps going in pictures, and then about halfway through the book, you get to the actual story. And I just think that's a really interesting storytelling technique. And so I grabbed it because it was $1. Don't judge me. Then we have the final book that came in from that monthly order. Like I said, they were really sporadically arriving throughout the month. And that is An Unwanted Guest by Shari LaPena. This I've read and I really, really loved. It's one of my favorite thrillers. It's the only Shari LaPena that I've read, which I need to fix. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. And so I had been wanting to buy a copy, but it's really expensive to buy for some reason. And then I finally found a copy online that was reasonably priced. And so I grabbed it. So I finally have a copy that I can add to my shelves. Now we get to, I placed my monthly online book order, but I placed the order from like 3 different stores. And so only some of them have come in. Again, they came in very sporadically. Some of them have arrived. Some of them will be in my July book haul because they didn't come in June. But 2 of them that did arrive in June that I can talk to you about that I ordered for my birthday. The first one is All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I think this is the 3rd book in the Naturals series, which is like a teen crime mystery series that I am very excited to read. So I picked up this because it was just the next one in the series that I needed to own. This book is really heavy for some reason. You know how some books just have that heft? This one's got that heft. And then the other one that I came in this month from my monthly birthday order was Did I Mention I Need You by Estelle Mascome, or Mascom. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm not sure if it's Mascome or Mascom. This is the 2nd book in the Dimily trilogy. The first book being Did I Mention I Love You? And I wanted to own the trilogy for a while, and I owned the first book, and so this was the next one that I needed to buy. And I decided to just splurge on it for my birthday because this is a more expensive series to buy online. And so I splurged for my birthday and picked that up. We then have some more books that I randomly bought from the library secondhand shelves. I was really weak in June and I bought far too many. So the one that I grabbed was Night Owls by Jen Bennett. Literally don't know what this is about except that it's a YA contemporary and I've heard about it on BookTube and it was $1. So I bought it. Similar with the next book. It Only Happens in the Movies by Holly Bourne. I know Holly Bourne. I've heard of this book. It was $1. Don't actually know what it's about, but I picked it up. And then this next purchase, which I kind of regret, even though it was $1. So I saw this, A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett in this like special edition. I can't remember what these, yeah, the Puffin in Bloom. Yeah, the Puffin in Bloom collection. And I was like, oh, this is so, I love these editions and I've never seen them like in person and it's $1. And I was like, oh, it does have like the library sticker, but I was like, oh, maybe I can just manage to get the sticker off, the stickers off, because it's got the barcode on the back as well. And then the books will be, it'll be great to have this on my shelf. And so I just grabbed it kind of on a whim. And then once I got home, I realized that it's actually in pretty poor condition. Like you can see how torn up the corners and that are. So I honestly don't know whether I'll keep this. I have read this before. A Little Princess is, the book's okay. The movie is one of my like OG fave movies from when I was a kid. This movie will make me sob every goddamn time I watch it. But yeah, I just was kind of like, oh, this would be really nice to have on my shelf. But now I see like how shitty condition it is. I may just kind of redonate this to like a little free library or something. But it is something that I grabbed, so I thought I'd mention it. Then we come to the part of my book haul where on my actual birthday, sorry, I need to move my legs, my feet have fallen asleep because this video is taking forever. We get to the point of the haul where I went secondhand book shopping for my birthday. Historically, twice a year around my birthday and Christmas, I will go on a big secondhand book buying splurge and go around to all of the secondhand bookshops, like the Salvation Army stores, all of that. This year, I didn't want to, I mean, I wanted to do that, but I restrained myself and I said that I was just going to go to my local Savers and pick up what I saw there, and that was it, because my TBR is just so out of control and I didn't want to end up with a huge amount of books, which obviously I failed at, as you can see, because I've still got a huge amount of books here. But so I purchased 7 books from that Savers, which is a pretty decent amount. And so the first one that I grabbed is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is a book that I marked as to read a while ago and I've always really wanted to read. I believe this is kind of like a sci-fi-ish story about a black woman who keeps getting pulled back in time to her ancestors, but one of her ancestors is actually a white slaver. slave owner. I think that's what this is about, I believe. And I've always wanted to read something by Octavia Butler because the girls over at Spinebreakers, whose channel I freaking love, I love the girls at Spinebreakers, they call her Queen Octavia. They love Octavia Butler, and so I've never read anything by her. But so when I saw this copy of this at Savers, I immediately grabbed it. So I got that. I'm running out of space to even put these books. I then also grabbed a copy of My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. This is a book that I've always been intrigued by because I feel like it's quite popular, but then I've seen a few people who loathe this book. It is the first book in a trilogy. I'm not exactly sure what it's about. I think it's literally just follows a friendship, which friendship themes are some of my favorites. And so I just thought, well, I could buy this while it's cheap, and then if I end up reading it and loving it, I can get my hands on the other books in the trilogy. So I grabbed that. I then grabbed Where They Found Her by Kimberly McCreet. I feel like I've seen this book a lot in secondhand bookshops and never picked it up because I thought that I already owned it. But then I actually checked my spreadsheet of books that are on my TBR, and I realized that I own a different book by Kimberly McCreet, which I can't remember the title of, but I didn't actually own this one, and so I grabbed it. I believe this one is about a girl, I don't know. It's a domestic thriller. A searing portrait of motherhood, marriage, class distinctions, and the damage wrought by betrayal. I don't know, like I say, it was just a thriller that I've heard of. I love thrillers. Oh, I just realized this is actually blurbed by Jodi Picoult and Gillian Flynn. So there's that. So I grabbed that. And then I also grabbed, oh, my nose is really itchy because all the dust coming off these books, Cross Her Heart by Sarah Pinborough. This is, again, a famous, like a quite popular thriller that's gone around BookTube. I believe this one is about, is this the one about the psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist or whatever who's like manipulating the person? I don't know if that's correct. I don't actually know what this is about. It's just a thriller that I've heard people talk about, and so I grabbed it while it was cheap. And then the final books that I grabbed, I just realized there's something on this book, was the Wolves of Mercy Falls trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. So the first book is Shiver, the second book is Linger, and the third book is Forever. I know that there's like a fourth book that came out afterwards, but I believe that that's kind of separate. Like they were originally published as a trilogy. And so when I saw them all there in like matching hardcover editions, I thought, well, I'm going to grab these. And then I know that this is going to be kind of, I think, cheesy. Like all I know about this is that it's a werewolf, YA werewolf series. But that can be a lot of fun. And so I just thought, you know, they're cheap and they're hardcover, beautiful editions. I'll grab them. So those are the books that I grabbed from Savers. I then have 3 final books to show you guys. So my sister gave me a gift card to Big W as part of my birthday present. And so I picked up 3 books. I used some of my own money and then with the gift card and bought these 3 books. So the first one that I grabbed is The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen. Again, Sarah Dessen is an author that I love. I know she's very, like, it's kind of almost, I don't even know what word I'm trying to think of. It's not cool to like Sarah Dessen anymore, but I've loved her since I was a teenager. She was basically my favorite author when I was in high school. I've read all of her books with the exception of her most recent release, which I think is called Once and For All, which I do own. It's on my TBR, but I haven't read it yet. And so this is her most recent release. When I saw it at Big W, I thought, oh, I'm going to grab that as part of my birthday books. I actually don't know what this is about. I just know it's Sarah Dessen's latest YA release. And so that was enough for me. I then also grabbed The Binding by Bridget Collins because this is a book that I've just been seeing around for ages. My friend Emma's mentioned it to me and talked to me about it because I think she read it. I think she talked to me about it before she read it, and then she read it. And I've seen a few people talk about it on BookTube. I think this book, like the gold is like shiny. It's just really beautiful. This is about a guy who, in this world, I think everyone seals their memories into like books. Like you can have memories like extracted, like memories you don't want anymore, and like have them like put in books. And he is being trained as a like binder, which is someone who like puts the memories into books. And I think that's all I really know, basically. But it's got a very interesting premise and the book's beautiful. And I've just seen it around, so I thought, it's my birthday, I'm gonna buy it. And then the last book that I purchased from Big W, I literally purchased on a whim. So I had a little bit of money left on the gift card, and so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna buy one more book. And so I was just walking around thinking, oh, I'm not sure what to get, what should I get? And then I saw this, and it was only $12, which is very reasonably priced for a book this big. I've never, sorry, let me just tell you what it is. It's A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This book is everywhere. It's so massively popular. It's kind of polarizing. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. I've never been super interested in it necessarily because of how polarizing it is, which is interesting because usually a polarizing book makes me want to read it more. But I think because I've heard that, well, I've actually heard people use the phrase torture porn, which is the incorrect phrase. Torture porn is like the Saw movies or like Hostel, like those type of horror torture movies. That's torture porn to me. I would describe this as tragedy porn. Okay, let's use that phrase instead, because torture porn to me is a whole different ball game. So I think that this is like tragedy porn, and that it's just super ridiculously sad, and it's just awful thing after awful thing after awful thing after awful thing. And that's all I really know about it. I believe it's about a group of 4 friends, mainly focusing on one of them and their lives. And like I said, and some really awful shit just happens constantly. And I think I've just never been interested in it because I don't know that I can emotionally handle that kind of trauma. But my friend Mel loves this book. It's basically her favorite book, I think. And like I said, I saw it there. This book is an absolute beast. It was $12. There wasn't anything else I was overly interested in. I just thought, you know what? It's time. I'm going to buy it. It'll probably be like 5 years before I read it. But I own a copy now, and that is the main point of this video because it's a book haul. So that's it, you guys. That is my June book haul. This video is way too long. I apologize. I picked up way too many books in June. I actually don't even know where I'm going to put these to keep my TBR books in my bedroom, and I'm so beyond out of space. It's ridiculous. But I would love to chat with you guys if you've read any of these books, if you have any thoughts or what you guys have been picking up. Were you guys completely out of control in June like me? Let me know so that I feel better about myself. That'd be great. But yeah, please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from me. But that is all I have for this video today. Bye, guys.